What if everything you believe yourself to be, your name, your history, your opinions, were nothing more than a story being told inside consciousness? What if the you that claims to know, to want, to suffer, and to achieve is not the real you at all, but a character being dreamt by something infinitely greater? Most people never look deeply enough to find out. They live and die inside the story. We call it the self, but it is not one thing. It is a collage of memories, identities, beliefs, and fears, layered so densely that we mistake the pattern for a person. You were told who you are long before you could question it. A name was given to you, then habits formed around that name, and soon you began to defend the story as though your existence depended on it. But the self is only a thought, repeated so often that it began to feel solid. Look closely. Every belief you hold about yourself is second-hand. You believe you are human, but what is a human beyond thought? You believe you are a man or a woman, a nationality, a profession, a personality. Yet all these labels are concepts floating in awareness. When you strip them away, what remains? Something quiet, something prior to words. The simple sense of being. That awareness, not the person, but the presence that perceives the person, is what you truly are. It has never been born and will never die. It existed before your first memory and will remain after your last breath. But to realize this, something radical must happen. The collapse of identification. The unraveling of the illusion that the self exists as an independent entity. This is the paradox of awakening. It is not achieved through adding more knowledge or belief, but through subtraction. The more you let go of, the more clearly you see. The less you know, the closer you come to truth. The spiritual path, in its deepest sense, is the art of unlearning, of dismantling every mental layer until only pure awareness remains. Observe the mind carefully, and you'll see how it clings to definitions. It needs to label, compare, and defend. It says, "I understand," as if understanding could secure existence. But who is this I that understands? Can you find it? You may find thoughts about it, sensations associated with it, emotions defending it, but the self itself, as an object, never appears. It is an assumption, not a discovery. When this is seen, the illusion begins to dissolve. The mind may resist. It will say, "If I am not this person, then what am I?" It trembles before the unknown. Yet what it fears is its own dissolution, the end of its borrowed importance. But awareness does not fear. It simply observes the fear arising and falling like waves in the ocean it already is. Imagine you are dreaming at night. In the dream, you believe you are the character walking through the dream world. You laugh, cry, run, and fight. Then suddenly, something shifts. You realize it's a dream. Nothing in the dream has to change. The sky, the people, the sounds. But everything is instantly liberated. You are free, because you know it was never real in the way you thought. Awakening is like that. A lucid dream in which the dreamer realizes its own nature. The great sages have said it in 1,000 ways. You are not the mind. But hearing it is not enough. You must look directly. The mind is a tool, not a master. It can organize, communicate, and create, but it cannot grasp what you are, because it itself is being perceived. The eye cannot see itself. Awareness is the unseen seer behind all seeing. Every identity is borrowed from memory, but memory is not the past. It is a present thought about the past. The mind creates continuity through narrative. It says, "This is me. I was born here. I did this. I will become that." Yet right now, in this moment, where is that person? You may find sensations, images, emotions, but all appear and disappear in the same field of awareness that is not changing. That awareness, the silence behind experience, is not personal. It is the same awareness listening through every being. The same consciousness that looks through your eyes looks through the eyes of every creature. When you recognize this, separation collapses. The idea of me and you becomes like waves arguing over which part of the ocean they belong to. This is non-duality, not a philosophy, but a direct perception that there was never two, only one appearing as many. The universe experiencing itself through infinite forms. When the false self dissolves, nothing is lost except the illusion of division. What remains is peace. Not an emotional peace, but the peace of knowing you were never incomplete. But the ego doesn't vanish easily. It hides behind spiritual concepts too. It can say, "I am awareness," and still cling to the identity of someone who knows that. True awakening requires humility, the willingness to admit that no concept, not even the concept of awareness, can contain what you are. You can point to it, speak of it, feel it, but never own it. Ownership implies separation, and awareness is seamless. The mind will ask, if there is no self, then who experiences life? But experience doesn't need a person to happen. Rain falls, wind blows, breath moves in and out, all spontaneously, effortlessly. The self is not the doer. It is a thought claiming authorship after the fact. Awareness is the real experiencer, and it needs no story to exist. So awakening is not about destroying the mind, but seeing through it. The thoughts may continue, but their grip loosens. You no longer believe every narrative that passes through awareness. You observe thoughts like clouds drifting through a vast sky that remains untouched. The sky does not identify with the storm. Gradually, a deep stillness begins to permeate your being. Not something you create, but something that was always here, waiting to be noticed. You may find yourself sitting in silence, yet feeling more alive than ever. The absence of thought reveals the fullness of presence. The ordinary becomes miraculous, because you are no longer lost in interpretation. This is the shift from thinking to being, from seeking to seeing, from the noise of becoming to the simplicity of now. And as awareness stabilizes, compassion arises naturally. You begin to see others not as separate, but as reflections of the same consciousness. Their pain feels like your own. Their joy, your joy. Love ceases to be an emotion. It becomes your state of being. As this recognition deepens, even the idea of awakening fades. Because who is there left to awaken? The journey that seemed so long and arduous collapses into the simplicity of this present moment. You realize that what you sought was never absent. Awareness was here through every success, every heartbreak, every breath. It was the constant background, quietly witnessing the play of life. This is the essence of the ancient saying, "Be still and know that I am." The I in this statement is not the personal self, but consciousness itself, the unchanging presence behind all phenomena. When stillness flowers, knowing becomes being. You no longer seek the truth, you live it. At first, this shift may feel disorienting. The old reference points fall away. Without the story of me, what is left to hold on to? Yet in that very groundlessness lies freedom. You discover that existence does not depend on identity. You can function, speak, love, create, but you no longer mistake the costume for the actor. Life continues, but it moves through you effortlessly, like wind through an open window. The illusion of control begins to dissolve. The mind used to believe it was steering the ship, but now you see the ocean moves on its own. Decisions arise spontaneously. Words speak themselves. You are not thinking about breathing. Breathing is happening. You are not deciding to be aware. Awareness simply is. This is what freedom feels like, the absence of the compulsive need to manage life. And yet, nothing is lost. The personality remains as a useful instrument. It can laugh, express, and relate. But now, it is transparent. You see through it. It's like wearing a mask for a play while knowing it's a mask. You no longer fight to defend it. And that releases an immense amount of energy that once went into maintaining the illusion of someone. That liberated energy expresses as creativity, intuition, and love. You find yourself acting from a deeper intelligence that doesn't rely on logic. You might call it grace. It is the universe expressing itself through you without obstruction. You don't need to plan how to be authentic. Authenticity flows naturally when there's no image to protect. When you see that everything is awareness, even suffering transforms. Pain still appears, but without the story of my pain, it loses its sting. Emotions move like weather through open sky, vivid, alive, but never permanent. You stop running from what arises, because you know it cannot threaten what you are. Awareness is never harmed by its contents. The mind often resists this because it thrives on problems. It feeds on resistance. When there is nothing to fix, the mind loses its central role. But that's not death, it's rest. Finally, the mind can serve its real purpose, to communicate, to create, to express beauty, without pretending to be the master of existence. As presence deepens, the distinction between inner and outer dissolves. The world is no longer something outside of you. It's an extension of your perception. What you used to call out there is revealed to be happening in here, in the same field of awareness. You realize that consciousness doesn't live inside the body. The body lives inside consciousness. This is the silent revolution of awakening. It doesn't shout or announce itself. It humbles the ego and opens the heart. It's not about becoming special, but becoming simple. To sit quietly and feel the world breathing through you. That is enlightenment. Not as an attainment, but as a recognition of what has always been true. So how do you awaken? You don't. You stop pretending to be asleep. You stop believing the thoughts that say you are separate, incomplete, or unworthy. You stop running towards some future state of enlightenment and notice the awareness that is already awake now. Every breath, every sound, every sensation is a doorway into that recognition. Silence becomes your teacher. Presence becomes your prayer. Every moment becomes sacred because it reveals itself as consciousness dancing. You begin to sense that even illusion serves awakening. Every heartbreak, every confusion, every mistake was a gentle push towards seeing what is real. Life was never against you, it was sculpting you for this seeing. The truth is simple, but the mind hates simplicity. It wants complexity, progress, achievement. But reality doesn't need to be achieved, it only needs to be noticed. Awareness doesn't demand effort, it asks only for attention. To look directly, without filter, without thought. The miracle is not hidden, it's happening now. And when you see it, truly see it, you realize you were never the seeker, never the separate self, never the one walking the path. You were the awareness in which the entire path appeared and disappeared. You were the stillness watching the movement, the silence behind every word. You were home all along. So let go of trying to wake up. Let go of trying to understand. The truth cannot be understood. It can only be lived. Be still. Look. Feel. Everything you need to know is contained in this breath, this presence, this infinite now. You are not the self. You are the space in which the self arises. You are not the story. You are the silence listening to it. And in that seeing, everything changes. Not because you gained something new, but because the illusion of lack dissolves. You stop searching for yourself in time and find yourself in eternity. You stop chasing light and realize you are the source of it. The ocean was never lost. It only imagined itself as a wave. So the invitation is simple. Stop running. Sit in the stillness that is already here. Watch the thoughts come and go, but don't call them yours. Watch the emotions rise and fall, but don't weave them into identity. Watch the body move, breathe, act, and see that it happens effortlessly. The entire play of existence unfolds within you. You are not in life. Life is in you. When this is seen, even death loses meaning. How can awareness die when it was never born? The forms will change, the stories will end, but the essence remains untouched. Like a screen that doesn't disappear when the movie fades. You are that screen. You are that infinite presence. forever watching the dance of form. And once this truth settles in the heart, you live lightly, you laugh easily, you forgive quickly, you love without reason. Because the burden of me has fallen away, you realize there was never anyone here to defend, only consciousness pretending to forget itself for the joy of rediscovery. That rediscovery is happening now, in this listening, in this seeing, in this breath. You have never left awareness, and awareness has never left you. The search is over, because the seeker has dissolved into the simplicity of being. There is no enlightenment ahead, no future salvation. There is only this, the eternal now, shining quietly as you.